Hey guys, and welcome to Get Live Podcast. This is a pretty short episode today. We just want to cover what's going on with Dynasty Warriors 9 right before its release. So expect this episode to come out probably 6 months after the release of Dynasty Warriors 9, and this information will be very not relevant. So yeah, I'm joined today with Jacob.
Hi.
And we're basically, it's currently the 24th of January today. And I decided, look, there's a bunch of Dynasty Warriors stuff we haven't covered, and let's talk about it and our thoughts before we actually get to play the game. Koei are, I'm just going to say it out there, Koei are giving me a copy of the game early. I think probably 2 weeks before the release. I haven't received it yet, but when I do, I can't talk about it. So I might as well just talk about it now before the release and give my opinions before the game comes out. And then when the game comes out, we'll do another episode on it. Just to remind you guys, Dynasty Warriors is going to be out on PC, it's going to be out on PS4, and I think Xbox One, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. I'm not going to do the disclaimer today, because, you know, it's just a casual talk between us, and we're going to talk about Dynasty Warriors. What do you think so far? There's a bunch of gameplay trailers and stuff, and all of these new things. You just showed me today that there's new NPC characters that are fully designed and they have movesets and everything, but they're not playable.
Well, they could have put the trailers in like one big video instead of like so many different trailers. But the things that I saw was like they have like similar weapons or like the same weapons as other characters, but the movesets are different, so that's good. Like, so basically I saw that a lot of the characters got like moves that were inspired from older Dynasty Warriors games, like Sima Yi or Sima Yi.
Yes, it's very odd. I've been looking at Sima Yi's movesets today actually, and it's like he's got the, you know, that move when he goes backwards and then goes forwards?
And then yeah, I love that move.
And it's such a classic move, and it's come from Dynasty Warriors 4, and it's I'm very happy as well. The fact that he's got his fan back, and
his Muso attack has just like these dark rays glowing out,
like it used
attacking
to be.
the enemy,
like it used to be. And yes. I like how the Musos are not this thing that, you know, are static. Before, when you did your Muso, you didn't move. It was like this one. You stayed in this one place and you done that Muso attack, and it's great now you can kind of control the Muso like you used to be able to do. I think Koei with this game, because it is, if I'm not mistaken, they're doing this for like an anniversary of Dynasty Warriors.
Yeah, it's like I think it's actually the 20th anniversary of W Force or something like that.
Or something, but the fact that they're doing that, and this is kind of, Dynasty Warriors is the main reason why Omega Force is such a big company, right? A big developer. So they're going out, pulling out all the stops for this game, and I think there's a lot of things that, you know, we might be annoyed about in terms of character design or in terms of certain characters not getting their moves or their weapons, aka Zhou Yu. I'm very upset about that, but you know,
yeah, me too.
We'll just leave about
or
that.
Shang-He.
It's a bunch of characters, and it's upsetting, but at the same time, to see certain characters getting their old school moves back and things like that, it's just refreshing, right? I'm especially Sima Yi. It's really nice to see Sima Yi getting his old movesets. From what I've seen in his trailer, though, he hasn't laughed. Where's his iconic laugh?
I guess he lost it because of his wife. Maybe,
or I think it might also be a fact that, you know, his wife is busting his balls all the time.
Exactly.
And it's like, he's depressed. He doesn't want to laugh anymore. Either that, or it's the fact that the voice actor died a couple of years back, I think. He died in right before Dynasty Warriors 8 came out in Japan. He passed away. So, and he was the voice of Sima Yi since Dynasty Warriors 2. So that's... I always thought, how would they kind of continue without him? They tried to do it in Extreme Legends and in all the other games with Sima Yi, but it wasn't like the best sort of thing.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And I think they're probably doing this to avoid people arguing and this sort of backlash around it. Anyway, speaking of voice actors, this game Jacob, I'm not sure if you knew about this.
It
but
has English voice actors.
New English voice actors.
Yeah, I've heard. Cao Cao has a new voice actor, I think.
Yeah. Well, the whole team has been replaced.
The entire team doesn't.
The whole
doesn't
team.
Xiahao Dun also have? Doesn't he have the same voice as before?
From what I was informed, and this is I can't say this is off the record, but Koei hasn't necessarily announced. I'm not sure if they still announced, but there was a time when
I don't think any English voice actors actually have been announced for that game.
None of them have, and we saw a tweet from Keiji Tang, actually, and Keiji was talking about, congrats to the new voice team for Dynasty Warriors 9. And I was like, what the fuck? And he linked to an IMDb page, and he didn't know whether or not this was true or not. And it raised a lot of speculation, and people were thinking, oh, what's going on? Is this fake? Are they just going to do Japanese only? But I did email Koei, and they did confirm, to me at least. I'm not sure if they confirmed this to the wider audience, but they confirmed to me that...
I don't think anything has been confirmed or announced in that.
And it makes me think
matter.
that they're doing it just because they want it as a surprise. That's what I think, or it's to prevent backlash, because a lot of people are assuming we're not going to get English voices. But from what I know, Chinese voices are confirmed, which should be interesting actually to hear.
I'm actually looking forward to that because it's going to make everything a lot more realistic to me.
It will, because obviously they're Chinese, right? So
yeah, and I've seen that they made actually like English voices for like I think it was the Chinese version of the game. They actually did use Chinese voice actors. I was like, that's actually pretty cool, and I was like a little sad that it never came to us because, well, Japanese voices always came to us, but not Chinese, which I didn't really get. Unless you mean like in like the Romance of the Three Kingdoms, or those games, there were always, I think, Chinese voice actors.
From what I know in the past, Dynasty Warriors did actually get some sort of other Asian region voices.
But they were never like brought to the West.
Never brought to the West, which is very interesting, the fact that they're bringing it to the West. I didn't think that they had any Chinese voices. I know in the past they had Korean dubs for the game, which were interesting to say the least. You know, not as good as Japanese dubs, but there you go. I'm presuming that they're using the same voice cast from what game was it? From Romance of Three Kingdoms, probably, because it just makes a lot of sense because they've done that with the Japanese voices, etc. So, but yeah, Koei did confirm to me that there is a new English voice cast, which I don't know how everyone's going to react. The entire team. This is what I've been informed. I'm not. I don't know who's voicing.
God, I hope Senji's new voice actors is good.
But it makes me think, why did they do that? Are they doing it as... or was it too expensive to hire these voice actors that have been in the game for 10 plus years? Bear in mind, a lot of them have become more famous, etc. Or is it the case that they decided to go with a... they decided, let's record this in a different country, for example. That might be the case. They might decide, let's record it in Canada instead of America. Or let's decide to record it in Texas instead of LA, for example. So
everything that, like, something else I could like consider that they wanted to do is just like, since it's the 20th anniversary of like W Force or whatever it's called, that they, because it's also like open world, that they decided like, let's just make an entire overhaul on the game, and let's choose entire new voice actors, do that, like a lot of new things are in the game. Let's not talk about the weapons because they're all like clone weapons, but
it, to me, I think because it's they're putting so much effort into things like open world mechanics and Numuso mechanics and things like that. Certain things have to be, I don't want to say neglected, but certain things will have to have priority over other things. So I presume it might be the case of voice acting. They said, look, let's take a step back, or things with the clone weapons as well. Bear in mind, there's a lot of characters in Dynasty Warriors, and
there's like 90 characters.
90 characters, and that's a crazy amount of playable characters. and there's a lot of work that has to go into them, etc. So I'm not too fussed with clone weapons. Like, there is clone weapons, but they're gonna get back, their own unique movesets, which is fine. And it's like, as long as they got their movesets, it's okay. Because even Dynasty Warriors 5 had clone weapons, Cao Cao, Sun Jian, and Liu Bei all had the same weapon, but they had different movesets, and that was exciting.
Yeah, like Sima Yi too.
Yeah, exactly, like Sima Yi and Zhuge Liang. So it's there's certain things that I've noticed, looking more into the trailers, that I've kind of been picked from different COVID games. I'm not sure if you've noticed that as well.
What do you mean?
Like, I've noticed that in the past, for their Dynasty Warriors games, they don't tend to innovate. Omega Force doesn't tend to innovate. They innovate in those side games like Samurai Warriors or Tokiden or games like that, like new IP. That's where they experiment, and then they see whether or not those experiments work, and they introduce them to Dynasty Warriors.
Tokiden I saw that.
Is Tokiden 2. Like, that's a semi-open world game. The fact that you can hunt in the game, you can get items, and it's an RPG. It has RPG elements, right? And those RPG elements are being brought forward into Dynasty Warriors. The fact that you can hunt animals and you can collect skins and materials for weapons, which it's great. Kind of like the Spirit of Sanada from the Samurai Warriors series. Those kind of things are being implemented. The way horses work have been implemented from that game as well. So it's very interesting. But at the same time, I'm a little bit worried about the open world system, and I'm not sure if you are as well. But I'll explain how I am worried in it. Looking at the map, it makes me think that the map is going to be a lot emptier. It's going to be massive, but it's going to feel a lot empty, and I'm going to feel that you're going to need to rely on your horse as much. And that was a problem with Dynasty Warriors 8. The maps were massive, yet they felt very empty because of its size, and you needed to rely on your horse. Like games like Samurai Warriors, you don't need to rely on your horse at all. The horse is just an afterthought. And I don't want to spend the majority of my time looking through scenery. I know scenery is lovely and everything, but it's going to get boring after a while. Like, I don't want to do all of that kind of stuff. Then that's the problem with open world games. Like, there's just so much to do, it just feels empty. Like, I've noticed in the trailers, you can open doors.
Yeah, you can break the gates open with your weapon. It's like Dynasty Warriors 6.
As I was saying, there's certain things that it gives me an issue with the game. Like, the fact that you can open doors and break barriers and things like that. It seems that the game is giving you a lot more to do to retract from the fact that there's a lot less to do. Do you see what I mean? Like, it's little meaningless things like that. And I understand there's supposed to be more realistic detail and things like that. But do we need them? I don't think we do. I don't think it's necessary for us to break a wooden barrier to open a door, to physically press a button and open a door. It seems silly because I want to focus on the actual hack and slash action, the battles itself, and I feel because of this whole open world, we're going to see a lack of NPC.
I do have to say that it puts me off a little when they like reveal that you can or have to collect materials in the game, like running around collecting materials like a fucking, I don't know, like the fucking Hamburglar or something.
Like the Hamburglar. It's interesting because it, as you said, it is something that puts you off because it makes the game. I understand where they're going from it. They want you to play the game a lot more, right? And this kind of increases playtime, but it doesn't increase replayability. It increases initial playtime, doesn't increase replay value. And Dynasty Warriors is always a game that has replay value. And I don't see this game having that. Like, I feel that as soon as I finish playing, I'm not gonna continue the game. And this leads me on to my another point. I think Omega Force knows this, Koei knows this, hence why they created or announced a season pass for the game.
Yeah, that in particular is another topic that just I'm like, it's a fucking Dynasty Warriors game. Why would you put in a fucking season pass for that game? It's like, you should know better, you know?
I'm happy that there is a season pass, and I'll explain. because a season pass, how much is it going to cost? I'm hoping it's not like DOA season passes, right? Because those, and majority of it is going to be costumes. I understand people will pay that money for costumes. I am going to be one of them, and you will end up saving a lot of money if you're going to buy the costume separately anyway, because like one costume costs three or €5 or something like that. So it saves you money if you're going to be buying the game and you're going to be buying DLC anyway. But I think that Koei should, lower the price of the season pass or introduce it so that the season pass becomes worthwhile. And this is what I really want to get into. Me and Jacob have been talking about this before recording. Games like Extreme Legends and games like Empires, I don't think they're going to be necessary anymore. The reason being is because those games, Empires and Extreme Legends, they're expansion games. The whole point of them was there never used to be such thing as downloadable content in the PS2 days, so you had to buy an expansion disc and disc swap to kind of get all the full features, etc. And I think Koei has realized that no one wants to do that anymore, especially with the PS4. It's going to get very complicated. That you can't really disc joy, or mix joy or whatever it's called. You can't really do that on a PS4 because it's slot loading mechanism. It's just like you can't do that on the PS4. So I think it just makes more sense for them to include it as a DLC content that gives you more playtime. And I think because it can be classed as its own game, and it is. And I think if they're including that within the season pass and say, hey, look, you're going to get all the Extreme Legend content as well. That's reasonable for me if they were to include that. And the reason I think that these games wouldn't actually happen, whether it may be an Extreme Legends or an Empires, is because the game is pretty much already Empires, right? The whole point of the game is that you go through the game, it's open world, you travel through China, and you conquer China, you experience the story. What would an Empires game be like? It would just be the same thing, either that they dumb it down heavily, and it would be terrible to play, considering Dynasty Warriors 9 is already open world, or they keep it open world, and they let you follow your own story, which I think is just a cheap thing to do, right? Unless they introduce it as a additional game mode within Dynasty Warriors 9, like a DLC or something like that, or like an ambition mode. Remember ambition mode?
Which one was that again?
It was the one where you kind of done those things. It was in Dynasty Warriors 8, and they had one in Dynasty Warriors 7. I think it was called something else. But
you mean the one where you travel across like this field that looks like a bee's nest?
Yeah, that thing.
I actually didn't mind that much.
See, and I think that would be very useful if they had that in Dynasty Warriors 9 as an additional game mode instead of having Empires, because that's basically Empires if you think about it. Another game also kind of introduced that. It was, I think, Samurai Warriors 4. The first Samurai Warriors 4 had that. It was like you travel Japan and you do these missions across Japan with your own character, and that could potentially replace an Empires if they'd done that as DLC and if they included that within a season pass type thing. Koei, if you're listening, feel free to take my ideas and make money off it, because I think if you're going to be doing this DOA style season pass, you're going to anger a lot of people. They
already have, though. I see a lot of comments. I'm like, yeah, it's pretty obvious they're angry.
And it's unfortunate because look at DOA. DOA has like 10 season passes or something like that. Something ridiculous.
Yeah, I was
right?
like, what the fuck?
And to buy all that DLC, it's like probably 300, maybe 400 euro or something ridiculous like that.
It's not 300 or 400. It's actually 1,000 euros.
What?
Yeah. If you look at the Steam page, you can like buy all. Well, I don't know. I don't know if there are season passes on Steam, but it has like all the packs.
Yeah.
And all the DLC together adds up to like 1,200 euros or something like that. And I'm like, who on earth would pay that much for downloadable content? Unless you're like someone who wails in like mobile gacha games, It's especially because it's just costumes. And like, are you serious?
Bear in mind, DOA is a different type of game. There's a lot of fan service within that game, a lot of tits. So it's like, I understand the people that will be spending a lot of money on that game.
Admitted, like Dynasty Warriors also has low-key become a little bit of fan service, let alone with those pre-order costumes.
Yeah, okay, I'll admit it. I think Dynasty Warriors is starting to become that, but at the same time, it's not there yet.
They put a lot more effort into like cosmetics in Dynasty Warriors and Samurai Warriors.
And it brings up another point. Like, we've seen certain pre-order bonuses, and there's a couple of them that I am upset about.
For instance, I actually really like Diao Chan's.
Well, Diao Chan's one makes sense, right? Because Diao Chan is a dancer, right? And it does remind me of her earlier costumes from different games. It's pretty nice. But then you look at Lu Lingqi, and it's like, what is this swimsuit? It looks like a swimsuit. Right?
Yeah, she looks like she's just wearing like undergarments, and she's like, she woke up too late, and she was like late to battle, and she just decided to put on these clothes.
It doesn't look good. It's like she's wearing some sort of lingerie. Maybe it isn't, right? But it's not a nice costume by any means. And then you got Wang Yuanji with a basic bitch costume. Like, she looks like she's gonna go out on the beach. You know,
she looks like a heather.
What's that?
Like, you know, from the Heathers.
Well, I don't know what the Heathers are.
You don't know the Heathers?
I don't know the Heathers. Tell me about the Heathers. What are the Heathers?
God damn it.
Wait.
Well, the Heathers is like it's a comedy movie, and there's this. Well, the Heathers are just clique, and basically they keep bullying this girl Veronica, and well, I guess they're the bitches.
This is an old film. This is like in the 80s. Like, we weren't born when this film was released.
So I've seen old movies, alright.
Okay, well, it's good to know. It's interesting actually, because she does remind me of this. You know, especially with that costume. It's like she's wearing a camisole and some like.
See, I don't get the combo between her top and then underneath is actually like the skirt. I'm like, it looks weird.
It looks cheap. It looks like it's the Valley Girl costume, right? It's like, oh my god, like, I'm Wang Yuanji. Like, that's what it looks like.
Like compared to Wang Yi or Guan Yinping.
Oh, Guan Yinping.
She
perfect.
Guan Yinping looks perfect. She's gorgeous.
Hair is on point. You know, even the skirt or the shorts. It's like, it's got that sort of. It's not westernized. Do you see what I mean? It's still.
Yeah, it fits her perfectly.
It fits in even with the scenery, right?
I love how it looks so good on her, and then she has this huge ass weapon behind her, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna kill you now.
Well, that's what it is. It's like, yeah, you know, she's cute, but at the same time, you gotta be careful because she can bash your skull in.
Yeah, and then there's Wang Yi, who looks just she looks so gorgeous,
and it's elegant. It reminds me a lot of you might be upset when I say this, but Zenji, Dynasty Warriors 6.
Yeah, it looks like her Dynasty Warriors 6 outfit.
Does.
Yeah,
and I was
it
like,
looks like
okay,
it.
That's where it came from, all right. And then even Sun Zhang, her costume's all right. Like, I can't.
It's all right. Yeah, I don't think it's either too good or too bad. She kind of reminds me of a cheerleader. Or like the skirt reminds me of those you know how there's like these bands with like these huge tubas and saxophones like doing like a fucking parade, and she just wore this skirt and then decided, oh, never mind, it's summer, I'm gonna go out with my top only.
I think
it looks okay. It doesn't look
like
too
I said,
good.
I think she looks like she's dressed to play tennis. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if that was one of the DLC costumes where she's just playing tennis. You know how they have those dumb DLC costumes. Anyway,
yeah.
The best DLC costume is actually for Taiwan, and
yeah, it is.
It's really good. I think if they hired this guy, his name is Vofan. If they hire this guy to make costumes, fuck yeah, I would pay €90 to get all of his costumes, because he knows how to design the costumes well. It's and looking at his artwork, and you know, Vofan, if you're listening,
his art is amazing.
Please contact us. We really want to talk to you about this design as well as your other works, because his stuff is just so badass. Like, I don't know. And the fact that he's designing costumes now for Dynasty Warriors, even if it is one, I'm hoping this comes overseas. Even if
Yeah, it's a school idol outfit. It looks amazing.
it doesn't even look like a school idol outfit. You could have said that's her new design for Dynasty Warriors 9, and I would have been like, yes, amazing. Do you see what I mean? Like
yeah.
Not only is it acts as a school idol outfit, like, you know, it's Love Live type thing, but it just fits with the game. It just does. You know, the flowers and the design of the costume overall just fits with the character. This guy knows what he's doing, and I think this guy, Koei should hire this guy just permanently, not just for a one-off thing, because, you know, he's got the talent. You know whose costume I really like as well? Chao Yun.
Yeah, me
Zhao
too.
Yun's costumes are always badass. Like, he had his Romance of Three Kingdoms outfit. I like that. This one, oh my god, his costumes are always so dramatic, and I love it when the costumes have the flags on it, because I understand why they've done it. It's to kind of show off
It looks so majestic. It reminds me of a dragon.
Well, that's the whole point, right? To remind you of the dragon.
Yeah,
And they got dragons
black dragon.
all on the thing. It's even on flags and everything. It just looks so beautiful. I can't complain about it. And I don't think we're going to get any of these costumes for Europe, unless they're going to be included in Season Pass or as DLC, because in
Which one do you mean?
any of them, I don't think we're going to get any of them.
You mean the store exclusive costumes? But they're up for pre-order.
But for which things, right? Because if you pre-order with a certain person...
No, if you pre-order them with Shop 2, you get all of them. Well, except for the Taiwanese one.
I'm not going to get the game as a pre-order because Koei are going to give me the game. I don't know if Koei are also going to give me the DLC.
I want to pre-order it, actually.
You haven't?
I want it. So
then
I want to pre-order it because it also does like there's this.
You get the steelbook?
Yeah, have you seen it? It's so beautiful.
I love the steelbook, but I know in America it's only available for GameStop, and it's a douchey thing to do, right?
Yeah, but here it's available on Shop 2. I think it's only Shop 2, but
you know why it's only Shop 2? Because everyone that buys Dynasty Warriors, they just buy it from Shop 2. It's just a lot cheaper. I'm not, Shop 2, I'm sorry, this isn't a sponsored thing, but it's just cheaper on Shop 2. And they tend to ship the game a little bit earlier before release. I've noticed that before. Like what?
Yeah, I've seen that too. It says like that it'll arrive on like release date for the people who order it.
It usually comes in like 2-3 days before. I've noticed that. Like even when I got Dynasty Warriors 8, it came in like 3 days before, which is it makes sense. That's why a lot of people shop there, and it's cheap. Can't complain, especially with a game like Dynasty Warriors. In a couple of months, it's gonna just have no value to a lot of people. It's mission based, right? And it follows historical events, and it follows individual stories, similar to Dynasty Warriors 5 in that sense.
And it also reminds me a little bit of Yukimura. What's it called?
The Spirit of
Yukimura Den.
Yeah.
Or like Spirit of Sanada. Because it also has those things where it's like, oh yeah, if you do this mission and get these or get these target things right, then you're gonna have a lot of advantages in the next battle.
Which is also something that was taken from Dynasty Warriors 4, if you remember.
Ah, yeah, I remember.
Yeah,
I do, because they that's also how how you unlock, for instance, Da Kiao and Xiao Kiao.
You have to do the Sun Ce mission where you save them first, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
It's very I don't know. I'm hoping this game is good, and looking at it, it just looks good. But
if you like take account the things that this game actually has compared to the things that it doesn't have, like unique weapons, it's like okay, but like the game itself like really looks pretty good. Like the graphics are amazing. Not all of the character designs are good, but most of them are, especially Xu Sheng. Yeah, he's attractive. But also I think the music's gonna be great. I hope the English voice acting is good.
That's something we don't know at the moment, because
Koei, we don't know that.
Koei,
I hope it's good, especially Senji's voice.
With the gameplay trailers, they're recording it in their offices, right? Whether it's in America or in the UK, but they,
as far as I know, the only Dynasty Warriors 9 trailer that has like a little bit of English voice acting is like the big trailer. I don't know what it's called anymore. It's just like highlight trailer or something like that, and there you can hear like a brief review of Cao Cao speaking.
Man, the fact that Cao Cao is not going to be there, like his old voice act, it's
Yeah, I know.
he's been there since the beginning, and he's also been Nobunaga's voice as well. I don't know.
But like if you look at the movesets or the character highlight videos, there's a bunch of new moves which look like, I'm not too sure if those are only like square and triangle attacks or if they're actually like new types of attacks. Like you dash into the enemy and then you, for instance, for Senji's highlight video, she like dashes into the enemy and then she does those kicks, you know, from the was it EX attack from Dynasty Warriors 8 or something, you know, it's like raging and then you get like really strong. And
I've noticed that as well, especially with characters like Lubu and the fact that you can do
like they dash in and then they attack really quickly.
Yeah, it seems like you can also do that in the air as well. It kind of reminds me of Strike Force, because that was something that was introduced in Strike Force. So
I'm intrigued by the fact that they put in a lot of elements from past games.
you know why that is? It's just because they know what works. I can admit this. Koei are very good with doing surveys and things, and they know what people want. It's just they're a bit of a cock tease in the sense that they don't give everything, because they know if they gave everything, no one's gonna buy the newer game. So they just have. But this is with all game developers, right? You can't make your game perfect, and there's certain things that people are not gonna like. There's the fact that there's no free mode in this game is another thing. It's like, I understand why there's no free mode, but still,
There is no free mode, but there are character stories.
Character story is interesting, and it means that there's a
And
lot more.
all of them have stories. I read that not all of them will have those, but they all do. And it's like even that big trailers, like, yeah, it's every single character has their own unique storyline. I'm like, fuck yeah. I'm like, thank God.
The reason that there is no free mode is because the game is open world. Like, you can create your own free mode. Do you see what I mean? Like, you don't necessarily need to do all the missions. You can just spend endless hours hunting if you wanted to. If you wanted to play Dynasty Warriors like that, you're a bit weird.
It's
but
basically
you can do that.
it really is like Tokiden too.
It's Tokiden. Like, you don't need to follow the missions, or you can do side missions for as long as you want and not advance the story forward.
And then there's also those challenge missions where it's like extra hard.
There's a lot of different things, and it's very there's also a day and night cycle from the Spirit of Sanada, which is, it's very, it's cool. And there's things like restaurants. You can go and visit a restaurant. It seems to be like a very social game.
That's why I like it, because it's such a, like, it has those simple little things, and I actually pay a lot of attention to those little things, like when it has those, like, oh, you can go to this restaurant and buy things and like talk to random NPCs. It's like, that's actually like really appealing to me. I don't know why, but it's always been.
Because it gives you a lot more to do, a lot more to experience and see. Like, every time you'll play Dynasty Warriors now, if you play through the whole game again, you're going to see something you didn't see the last playthrough, which is, it's most open world games are like that. But it also makes me think that, what's the future of Dynasty Warriors? Are we going to see Dynasty Warriors Online return? Because an open world means, you can have a sort of thing like Call of Duty where they have, and I don't like comparing it to Call of Duty, but there's a thing in Call of Duty World War II called the Headquarters, where you have a bunch of different players interacting with each other in the social space. And it makes me think, is Empires going to be like that? Is the online mode for Empires, you're going to have this social space where you meet and talk with players, kind of like VR chat?
Yeah, that reminds me, it could be like Dynasty Warriors Next. You know what I mean? Because Dynasty Warriors Next also had like it had this mode where it was like you could actually fight like people, like, well, you could take their territory, because it didn't actually have a big impact on their own safe data. You know what I mean? Because it's like it was like Empire mode, actually. It was.
If you have, because in the past, online modes was cooperative, and if you introduce an open world, and introduce an Empire game with an open world and say, hey, look, you can have like probably 100 players in a lobby, and they're all trying to fight, and you can open your own lobby so you can play with your friends, right? Kind of like Civilization. If you've played Civ or any game like that, have a Dynasty Warriors game where it's like open world, like Civ, and you can kind of just wreck shit. Like, you can like raid people while they're not noticing, or while they're in a different battle, and it would be so cool, right? You can get your friends to help you out and things like that. And it takes a lot of infrastructure, it takes a lot of work, but the fact that they're already kind of implementing this with Dynasty Warriors 9, it's a good thing. It also makes me wonder if this fails. Well, it's not going to fail in terms of sales because everyone's hyped for a new Dynasty Warriors game, but if it has such a negative reaction, are we going to see them go back to more traditional styles of Dynasty Warriors and gameplay, kind of like what they did with 6 and 7, right? Because 6...
I guess for that we just have to.
But do you think it will end up like that? Because what I said initially was 9 is just an upside down 6. That's what I did say. And I thought taking this risk, it's a big risk and it can fail. And I thought it was going to fail, but looking at this gameplay and looking at how the game looks and how polished it looks, it's amazing. Obviously, I'm not going to know until I get to play the game, hopefully this week or next week. It should be good. And I really hope that Koei just continue to update the game. That's another thing.
Mm-hmm. And I hope you don't mean like updating as in terms of DLC.
Not updates in terms of DLC. We mean like if there's, like for example, there's a lot of broken things in Dynasty Warriors 8 Extreme Legends on the PC and on PS4 as well. It's like, for example, you can't play co-op without the game going to like 5 frames per sec if you're using horses.
Yeah, it was also in Dynasty Warriors 7. There was this thing where it's like, you know how you could like recruit officers to like help you in battle, and for some cities it just froze when you like chose one character, and then it was like disturbing because it was like there was a trophy that said you should, well, to unlock it you had to max your bond with those officers, and how were you supposed to do that, you know, if your game keeps freezing? And they never patched that, they never looked into that, even though a lot of people actually told them about it, and it was like, nah, it's not getting patched.
Dynasty Warriors fandom wasn't as big as it is today, and it's also the fact that there's a disconnect between, at least in the past, there was a disconnect between the Japanese dev team and the Western audience, because they thought, look, there's not many players, why should we do this for them? Or maybe there wasn't a budget for them to do that, because the game would come out a year and a half after the Japanese version, and it was like, oh, we're working on a new version of the game. Should we really continue to support an older version of the game? A lot of developers go through that, but unfortunately, because we get the game later than everyone else, we're stuck with it. Because I noticed Japan, if you play the game in Japan, it's buttery smooth. It's like no problems with the game in Japan. It also brings up one of the final points I want to bring up, actually. The game is, I think it's already out in Japan.
I think so. I'm not too sure, actually.
It's coming to Europe like a month later, which is crazy.
Yeah, I think it's coming on like, isn't it coming on
one day before Valentine's Day, so the 13th.
Yeah, it's like
2-3 weeks. So it's very exciting.
Pretty much 3 weeks.
But at the same time, it makes me think, does that mean we're going to be able to share trophies with people in Japan? Does that mean we're going to finally be able to play with players in Japan? Are our servers going to be open to them? And they're going to be open to us, kind of like Tokiden as well. Are we going to see that? And I hope it's the case. When I was speaking to Koei, they said they are working on trying to make the release dates together and trying to make true online multiplayer, like in terms of not region locked or not region, split, segregated. One thing, I think the last thing I really want to talk about is these NPC characters.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think of them?
Well, the only character I'm actually really interested in is Dongbai. Because she, in my opinion, she actually has like the best character design out of the entire character roster, and she's a non-playable character, which is like, pretty shitty.
Do you think that they're going to include her in a season pass?
I'm not too sure about the season pass, because it's like, if the season pass is available from the beginning, why would they do that? Unless it's like a day one thing, which was possible for a lot of other games. Well, it's either gonna be a season pass thing or...
she's very interesting, like in the sense that...
She also has a whip?
Well, it's not really a whip. It's like this chain, ball and chain.
Yeah, it's like... Yeah.
But these NPC characters have already been designed before.
Something.
They're characters from Dynasty Warriors Blast, which was a social game. it was like a gachapon game, right?
The other characters, I don't really have that. Well, maybe what's her name? Xiaozhu or Xiaoji?
Let me see. Actually, I think Xiaoji. Yeah, Xiaoji.
Yeah, she's pretty, but
she's the lolly of the game, right?
Yeah, she is.
She's for people that don't know, she's Zhang Fei's wife and Jing Kai's mum. She's also the niece of Xiao Huan, which is interesting, right? People have been saying that she'd been abducted by Zhang Fei, or she was kidnapped by Wu and then she fled and became a refugee for Shu. So we're not sure, but you know, she was young when Zhang Fei married her, right? And the game is never going to talk about that. It never is.
Yeah, because it's so controversial. It's like
it is. It's kind of like the Kiao sisters. They're never going to talk about how they were clearly underage.
Yeah,
right?
I was always like, why are they so young, and why would Sun Se or Sun Se and Show Yu be so interested in little girls, and like
they're lollicons, man. They love the lollies. That's
do.
what they're about. But I'm so glad that there aren't characters in the game that have that, you know, even the Kiao sisters have grown up a lot.
Yeah,
which is great. And they're not kids anymore, which I'm happy about. But we'll see about the Zhaoji woman, because in Dynasty Warriors Blast, she was always seen with a stuffed rabbit, like a child, right? So that's a bit iffy. We'll see about the rest of the characters. Anyway, I just wanted to remind you guys that you can go and check us out on Get Life Podcast at Get Life Podcast on Twitter. Jacob, what's your Twitter?
My Twitter is at Monodaddy.
So yeah, you can check me out at Get Life Podcast on Twitter. You can also check my website, or our website, www.getalifepodcast.com. For all your Dynasty Warriors updates, it's all going to be there. We're going to be talking about Dynasty Warriors for a while. We will do another Dynasty Warriors episode once me and Jacob have played. Hopefully, we're going to see and try and get Kevin to play the game as well, because it is out on Steam. So, well, it's not yet, but it's going to be out on Steam. So,
so what about Joe?
Joe's not into Dynasty Warriors.
Why?
He's not into it. So it's like, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, but you can't really convince someone. If they're not into it, that's fair enough. I know Dynasty Warriors not for everyone. So
true.
Well,
I can always become one.
Chin-episode 2 never happened. And it's not like we're ever going to have a Chin-episode 3. I would love to. Chin, if you're listening, hook us up, man.
Get your ass on the podcast, bitch.
I think it'll be cool, because he doesn't work for Koei anymore. So it'll be interesting to know what he thinks.
Yeah.
Not only about Dynasty Warriors, but I think about other games.
Mm-hmm.
Because he created, the Koei Warriors site, he created that. I never knew that.
Yeah, but isn't Koei Warriors actually shutting down?
I didn't know that. Don't tell me that. I'm so upset.
I don't know.
Don't tell me it's shutting down, man.
Yeah, the CEO UK website doesn't exist anymore. There's only the forum now.
Are you serious?
Yep.
No, I'm gonna try and get the domain and revive Koei Warriors. Let's make it as a Patreon.
I just entered it and there's nothing. It's not doing anything.
Wait.
Yeah.
Don't
the
tell
server
me this.
IP address of koeiwarriors.co.uk hasn't been found.
No, I'm so upset.
Yeah, they announced it like a lot. I don't know how long it's been, but they announced it way back.
That's upsetting.
Yeah, I used to love it. It was actually my favorite.
This is the way you've ruined the episode.
You can just edit it out.
No, I'm still upset about it. Anyway, we'll talk to you guys later. We'll do another episode, hopefully, on another day about Dynasty Warriors. But yeah, I really did kind of enjoy these kind of episodes, doing this sort of one-to-one, just talking about stuff. They're quick to do. We do get passionate about it. And that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. See ya.
Thank you. I can always become one.
Well, Zhaoji doesn't sound like a mum, but she became a mum. Imagine that. It means she had sex with Zhang Fei. I don't want to imagine it.
Great.
It's. I think people are making it a big deal. It doesn't need to be a big deal. So, just please enjoy the game when it comes out.